Happy New Year, Cancer. Let's have a look at your astrological chart and tarot for the year ahead. This is the astrological Equinox New Year, going from 1st of April to the 1st of April next year. So this is also for anyone with Cancer rising as well. So your planetary positions, you have Jupiter sitting here in your first sector. And Jupiter is in Cancer throughout this year. It is really good time for Cancer, of course, with Jupiter in your first sector, where you are able to expand and grow in any way you're wanting, whether that be financial, spiritual, or to do with knowledge, gaining more knowledge, studies, learning, anything where you feel like you are extending on your abilities and your skills and your productivity. We have some really good aspects to Jupiter with this Equinox chart. Jupiter is trine to Mars. Jupiter sitting in your first is trine to Mars that sits here in your ninth. So this is a great time again for expansion and growth. It's productive energy. It's about applying your productive ideas. It's about, with Mars there, it means that you can actually really move forward and really take the action that you're wanting to achieve the goals that you desire. Mars in the ninth sector with this trine, relates a lot to, again, expanding your knowledge. It will actually give you an inclination to want to travel, connect up with others. And with Mars here, you could be looking at business opportunities as well. That could be extending to overseas, or looking at how you can expand your customer base. Jupiter is also making an aspect to Uranus, which is always a nice aspect, because Jupiter-Uranus is quite a fortunate and sudden changes that can come in. So again, Jupiter in your first, which is your environment, and you're wanting to expand out and be out in your environment more, really wanting to grow any areas that you are wanting to achieve. And with Uranus there sitting in your 11th, it can be very fortunate connecting with communities, connecting with friendships, and anything where you are really, again, putting yourself out in the world and showing what you have to offer others. So Jupiter and you with this Uranus, it feels that it's about things coming in suddenly, sudden good fortune, sudden. And I don't really like that word, because we work hard, and that's the Jupiter Mars is really putting our energy out there and working hard to achieve our goals. The Jupiter Uranus brings things in quite suddenly and quite effortlessly. You have the South Node in the third sector. Now, the third sector relates to your communications, and it relates to also siblings, people, family around you. Even though it reads as siblings, I see it as early childhood friends and connections. And the South Node is all about the past. So this might be a time when you're catching up with people that you haven't seen for quite a while. Could be just through communication, through digitally, or you could be physically going to see and connect with people, especially where you seem to have a lot of travel going on with this astrology. In the ninth sector, you have Mercury conjunct Node. Now, the Mercury conjunct Node sitting here in Pisces, it's all about communicating with others for common purpose or like-minded connections coming together, just to share what you have in common. You also have Mars there. So again, with this ninth sector, there's a lot about travel within that, or expanding within your ideas. You may feel like study this year with that Mercury node, or be looking into researching and looking into learning a lot more. That could be self-directed. With Mars there, I really feel this desire for travel again, and again we've got the Jupiter, so you might find these really good news about connecting up with others, family, going, traveling with family, or going to see family, or there could be travel for business with that as well. But either way, with Mars there, it does look like, again, extending out to the wider world with business ideas and work. In the 10th sector, we have this line-up in Aries, and it's an interesting line-up with your Sun, Neptune, Saturn here sitting on the Equinox. this has been a bit of a tricky placement, because with Neptune, Saturn, it sort of breaks down our belief system of what we, when I say belief system, it's more about how we see the world, and it's all about our perspective and how we see the world and our attitude towards that. And when I say that, it's can be a challenging time, because we can find that it can be tough for finances, security, or even health. But it's a time when we decide what is really important to us, what we really need to take care of and look after, what we need to heal, and what we need to release as far as blockages go, especially where we have this midpoint of Sun, Saturn, which represents a blockage, and Neptune is taking us into the unconscious to really look a bit deeper into what is going on there for us, and why we can't either move forward, why we struggle with finances, or why we have these health issues. And that can, again, always, well, it generally always does relate with Neptune there, to the unconscious mind and our patterned, conditioned experiences, trauma, etc. So with it in the 10th there, it sort of could be a forefront for you, healing. You could become interested in healing, health, or even new ways of making more financial security for yourself. You may not feel like you have a clear direction forward with that Neptune, Saturn sitting there, but again, it's like the spiritual growth that you'll get through this combination will be so valuable. You'll take it, throughout your life. Moon Venus is sitting there, and that's a really lovely combination to have there in your 10th. It means that family, friendships, affection, love, and really sharing with others are going to have a really highlighted importance for you. And again, we have Chiron sitting there, and Chiron is the deep-seated healer. It's also about how we heal others, how we help others, how we connect psychically as well. So I think you'll find this is a very highly tuned psychic year for Cancer. Uranus sits in your 11th sector. Now this can bring changes in friendships, new connections, innovative ideas that help communities as well. So within that Uranus energy around communities, you might find you're having different experiences within communities. In other words, being in different places, or connecting with different people. It's like it could be, things could be changing constantly. You could be moving around quite a bit, or doing quite a bit of travel with that Uranus sitting there in the 11th. So let's have a look at the tarot, and this gives us a bit more detail, a bit more information on what to expect for this year ahead. I'm doing the Celtic Cross spread first, and then I'll do the Zodiac wheel. So these cards are indicating some frustrations with plans, but this is not going to be in the spread, so it's sort of how you've been feeling. Maybe you're needing to reassess plans or changes, or your direction. And I feel changes are sort of just going to come about naturally anyway. So it's a little bit of a time where you've got all these major arcana cards. We just got to trust that the universe is going to provide you what the right thing is for you, because you're still nutting out exactly what that's going to be. Well, it looks like this is a year where big changes, very fated changes for Cancer. It's bringing you into the right things, ultimately, bringing better balance and security into your life. Great year for Cancer, for expansion, growth. Like I said, Jupiter sitting in your 4th. This is a good year for you guys to really look at where it is that you do want to be, even though you have the contradictory situation of that Saturn, Neptune, Sun in the 10th. You actually do have this sort of real powerful drive to create your vision a lot more clearer of future. So in other words, some years we just plod along, some years we sort of go, right, this is what I want to achieve. And this, can be this year, as long as you stay in a positive frame of mind, you can really achieve the goals you want. Fabulous year for finances and for building up, either if you have a business plan or business that you're already existing. This is going to be a year of expansion and growth, regardless, even in career of any sort. So you're going to feel a little bit tumultuous, and I think this is sort of going on now for you guys. There has been some shift, change where, and you do know how to manage peace, as in, how to, when things are a little bit stressful around you, you know how to go and find your own inner peace. But this is sort of saying that there's some circumstances that are coming up to be addressed, and even though things look a bit chaotic, and what's covering you, the cards themselves are saying that this is just that there's a sudden change comes in, and you're not quite sure what direction to take, where you should be. Should you be here? Should you be there? Meaning, should I be in this country or that country? Should I be in this job or that job? It also feels like you've got to consider others relative to these decisions. So with, whether it's business, whether it's a relationship, there seems to be a lot based around relationship and living and changes and decisions. So where you want to live and, what you're wanting to create for yourselves. I can see that you're really going to move on with this, with the ideas. And again, I can see you sharing ideas with another person. I feel like this is coming from a really good place. You're driven by your heart, what feels right for you, and you're very motivated, especially with this Mars going on here, this Mars energy, in your ninth sector. Again, a lot of communication with people in different places, but this is sort of about getting on with work with another person and communicating ideas around that. So what I feel like is there's going to be a bit of a glimpse of what the future is going to look like coming in, like an opportunity or a situation around you, a conversation, and then you've got to wait. You just got to sit back and wait and just see what, while you build up on these ideas, while you build up on what you already have, and creating more of a foundation for yourself. Really good news here about borrowing money. Anyone wanting to borrow money, purchase property, or money for business or property. It looks like there is the opportunity to do that, and again, it looks like you're going to be signing documents here that are going to be relative to your security. So it could be property agreements, or it could be contracts of work, or just again setting up new things, and again working with your ideas. Cancers are really good entrepreneurs. All the cardinal signs, they like to work for themselves. They like to be the masters of their own destiny and of their own creative ventures. And again, this is saying that you have everything you need to get on with it. This is a year of getting on with what you're really wanting to do. And I feel like it's a time when, yes, you do have to consider what other people are wanting, because it could be people wanting to go in different directions to yourself. But I feel like if you're honouring each other in the sense of your own skills and what you're both wanting to develop over this year, you're going to feel, you're going to sort of come to a better balance with understanding. So just a little situation here where you could feel a bit frustrated around, we've got the male principle here, so, sort of male energy that is not sort of on board or agreeing. It's like being stuck, or anyone, when I say male energy, it is a male sort of stubbornness energy that can come through the female energy too, on her, to do with her male side. But it's like being open, and that could frustrate you with others that aren't being open to the expansion and growth that you're feeling and that you're wanting to get on with. That's just a little thing here that I feel like if you are patient with whoever you're dealing with, it will, you know, it will have, they will get it in time. Just give them time to absorb, to feel that security isn't getting rocked up too much. To just, when I say absorb, just to really, you know, take in what's been said, take in what, you know, they're wanting and what you're wanting, and again, to find that balance. So let's have a look at the astrological wheel, and that will give us again a bit more indication. Really good to see the Empress here and the outcome. You had, you know, like I said, the bit of a stressful situation, just in the sense that change came in unexpectedly, quite quickly. And again with Uranus in the 11th sector, you know, it's like, you know, yeah, that can bring in quite a bit of change into, you know, what your, not so much your environment, but, you know, what you're around, your friendships and your connections. Okay, yes, you're having a bad month. Don't worry about that. That is going to change quite quickly. You could be feeling a little bit defensive as well in your home environment. But again, that is just something that I think you're processing. And like I said, if you're patient with those around you that aren't quite as fast thinking as you, or moving as quickly, or getting it the same, just be patient. People get things in their own time. Okay, yeah, a lot of people in these cards, and people are going to be changing your life. People are going to be responsible, excuse me, for these changes that I'm picking up on, these fated changes, that is where your life does a turn, and it's doing a turn for the better. But the first half, not even the first half, really just over this sort of the next couple of months, you know, there's just a sense of nothing's working out. You know, I don't want to go on like this. I've got to make some changes. Be patient, because the universe wants to show you what the best opportunities, the best changes for you could be. And I don't think you're seeing quite the big picture just yet. You might have some news that, you know, or there might be communication going on here to do with relationships that you're not, that's sort of a bit disappointing or upsetting. Now, that doesn't mean it's to do with partner. It could be some information or news he's bringing to you. But it's like, again, not reacting is really important at this time. And, I mean, Cancers that isn't very overreactive. They tend to hold things in more so. But they do feel it all and find it sort of sometimes that energy hard to be around. So, you know, really the key is communication. The key is actually that deeper understanding. And even if it's not through communication, it's through just, you know, you have a sort of innate ability to pick up on people, pick up on their thoughts, what they're going through. And so it's almost like you'll know whether words are said or not. You know, what is going on here. And so it's like you know the right thing to say. So interesting, you have around finances, it's sort of saying just, you know, to secure, and if you're feeling that you're wanting to build up on your finances, or that you're needing more money for certain things, and there is money being borrowed here. And when I say borrowed, it's, you know, whether you have to pay it back or not, I'm not sure. But it's like it's coming to you to help you. And this is sort of showing for travel here. But getting back to your finances, it sort of looks like finances are good if you're consistently stable with it, saving. But if you're sort of running on your emotions, and you're sort of like, you know, spending where, or feeling like you need things to make you happy, you know, this can feel a little bit like this is, you know, not the time, because, you know, you don't have the money. So you could feel a little bit like, you know, but I can't afford to buy that right now, and it's something I need. So, you know, again, it's sort of your emotions are tied into that. If you're wanting to manifest more for yourself, you have to sort of take your emotions out of that, feel like you need nothing to be happy, and then and be grateful for what you have around you, and then actually ask for what you want from that point. There will be a plan for travel this year. I can see you making that plan, maybe around June, around your birthday maybe. Otherwise, it's going to be more for December, but I think you'll be quite clear about your future as well around this time, around June. You're sort of like, okay, this is the goal, the direction, the plan I'm wanting. If only I had the money, or maybe I could spend this money that I have on this particular idea, on this vision that I have, or on travel. Okay, so it's sort of showing a protection thing around your home. Now, Cancers are very protective about their home environment, about their sanctuary. The Cancer rules the home environment. This is sort of saying, though, not to be too overprotective. Cancer has this big shell around them, so they do have this big bit of armor around them, but underneath that shell of the crab is a very, very soft, sensitive body going on, and this is what is being highly protected, is because we are so sensitive, or cancers I should say are so sensitive, that they do need to sometimes feel they need to be guarded, or sometimes they can be over defensive to protect their hearts and their energy. So with that, it feels like not necessarily that there's a reason to be, where you may be going through a little bit of struggle with others in the home environment, feeling like you're needing to be more protective of people or situations. But I feel like this is more about looking at why, what it is we are protecting. And, sometimes we need to go into that to be more open, because when we're open, we are able to receive more. So again, we have plans for the future, good stable situations around the home, but also around your family situations too. So when I say family, this relates to children, relates to also how you like to enjoy yourself and what you do for fun. It feels like, this is work related, because work is going to be a lot more fulfilling for you this year. And if you're not in the sort of work environment that you absolutely love, this is going to be a time, I think, where you will find what you really enjoy to do. But again, we've just got this building up on security, and we actually have a really, really busy month for work, year for work. There's a lot to get done, and it's going to also be a really physically active time. So whether you're involved in physical sort of hobbies, you might want to get more into that, or you might even want to make that part of your career. But this is also, just again, I feel like your self-directed work, you're getting so much done, but it is going to be, like I said, a very productive and busy year, because this is the year you've decided you really are going to get ahead and get a bigger scope on your future. So, really nice year for relationships and for friendships, even really special friendships that could even develop into relationships. Some situations may not have worked out with relationships here. This is actually a time of bringing in new connections. When I say new connections, sorry, friendships, taking friendships to a new level. There's some deep emotions here that you are may realize that you're needing to heal. When I say realize, they're sort of deep, they're hidden, they're in the 8th sector, but it's about releasing old emotions that no longer serve you. Where you may have felt you didn't get treated the way you would prefer to be treated. But any disappointments that you felt from others, I feel like this is the time to sort of release that, because quite often it's really that our expectation of people is way too high. When we expect people to be the same as ourselves, that is putting quite a high expectation on others. And when we accept people for the way they are, that doesn't mean we have to accept them in our life. That doesn't mean we have to spend time with them even. It's more about what we carry, what we didn't know we were carrying, or any hurts, pain, or trauma that we didn't know we had. So again, could be looking at studies. You could be, it's like you're borrowing money, whether it's a study loan, whether it's a loan for, again, feels more like if you travel is going to actually bring in a lot more productivity for you. So you may be traveling to receive money or to expand your financial growth with your business. This is a year, I think, where I'm going to say these changes sort of happen through connections and people, opportunities, and you're not sure whether you should take them, whether you should make the changes. But it is a change where you will be really feeling in full control of your circumstances and full control of your direction. If you're in a working environment, it's like you could, be in for a promotion or be in for more of a leadership role. But this is about your own desire to lead, yourself, maybe others as well, and you're very capable of that. And I can see this is a year where you can really go to the top of the goals that you're willing to reach, or see that there's the potential to do that. So we've got waiting on money here to do with your ideal of where you would actually like to be. And it feels like, you need a place where it's very peaceful, where you feel nature around you, and where you feel security. Any cancers that are, again, wanting to purchase property, this looks like a year where you really are planning things for the bigger picture. And you seem to be really supported by the universe in doing that. So I hope you enjoyed that, Cancer, and you have a great day. Bye.